Hi, Paul. What I would like to do is just run through this prototype that I've developed so that I can get your input and that you also can hear my thoughts before it's game on the 13th. What I've done here is I've basically played with several models actually just to try to get this to hang together, but I've actually just copied it over to what it looks like as being the CSP model. In the middle here, we've got the sales approach, which is tied into the CSP sales approach with the counselor approach and stuff like that. But I want to call it the Hoban sales approach because with the Hoban sales approach, I noticed that each park had their own DNA, each park had their own style, each park had their own sales approach. And I think this needs to be clarified more. I think there needs to be more clarity about the individual parks and what they offer and how they differ from one another. But I also need the individual groups to work with the DNA of their park. That's pretty much what this Hoban sales approach is about. It needs to be looked at from these three points here. This one here, this one here, and this one here. I'll get back to those in a little while. Basically, the sales approach is going to be the foundation about how the salespeople approach sales and how they approach customers. Part one of that is the telling of the Hoban story in the relating phase. What I noticed when I was walking around just about on every site was that the Hoban story it's got this sort of it's more of a sales pitch than it's a value communication. It's more chest beating than it is meeting the customer at eye level. And I want to get that Hoban story down to something where this is Hoban, this is who we are, this is what we represent, and these are the values, these are the services, and this is the quality that you expect due to this story. Not we've done this, we've been this, and we've been here for X number of years and stuff like that. So I basically want to reinforce this Hoban story. I want to turn it, okay, so that it's a matching of the customer's values with the Hoban story. And that's basically the gist of part one. It's all there. Everything needs to be there. There's nothing new, but I just think it needs to be aligned. Okay. Part two is discovering, but it's also tied in with part three. And this is where I need you to be on the ball and give me some feedback. What I've discovered is, we've spoke about over the phone, we've got fees, we've got site, we've got park, we've got caravan. They're the four areas that need to be covered, whether it's a part exchange or it's a new customer. Obviously, there's a different level of knowledge depending on the type of customer, and this needs to be assessed. So basically, in the discovering phase, what I'm going to get the salespeople to do is simply identify which questions need to be asked so that you, as a salesperson, have the knowledge, but also the customer has the knowledge. Because one thing that is for certain, and that is if the customer doesn't have the necessary amount of knowledge, they won't make a decision. So basically what I've decided here is that the first phase is assessing and preparing the customer, firstly assessing what they are and preparing them for all this information, and then getting the information out of them. In practical sort of training sessions, it's going to be, okay, what sort of questions are we going to use, how are we going to use them, and let's make a checklist so that each salesperson has their own checklist. But also, in the case where they don't have this information, they're going to be jumping over and they're going to be advocating. They're going to be aligning the customer. They're going to be telling them about the feed. They're going to be telling them about the site and all the rest of it. So it's going to be this backwards and forwards process with the customer, training this so that we reach this critical mass of information so that the customer is ready to make a decision. So this phase here is basically one phase combined. It's guiding the customer towards an informed buying decision. And that's the entire process. In terms of supporting, I've said that you need to keep regular visits and contacts to assess if the customer's satisfied, whether they're dissatisfied, or whether they're just in the middle. Okay, and we're going to be using one model from the CSP. In terms of tying it all into the CSP material, I'm going to be cutting quite a lot in it, but there are some basic features that just need to be covered here, here, and here, and the models will be used accordingly. But we can do that when we see one another on the 13th. Apart from that, this is it. There's actually 3 or 4 models that I've tied into the CSP here, and what I'd like to hear from you is your feedback about it. Does it make sense? Am I missing anything? What would you like in there if possible? And just as a final note, this model is going to be obviously tidied up. It's going to be changed. The colors are going to look a lot better and stuff like that. But it's a prototype. It's just for you to have a look at and me to get some feedback about. And you're more than welcome to come back with your input. That's it from me, mate. I look forward to hearing from you.